Radio Free Skaro!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Radio Free Skaro, episode number 878. I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
Hey, Chris is back after a week away. Boy, what a week, Chris, that you missed. What possibly were you doing for a week that was more important than this podcast, may I ask?
I was waiting for the final viewing figures from BBC One for The Power of the Doctor.
Well played. Well played.
Well, you got him.
Got him. Hey, yeah. Fifth best for the week or something like that. Like, boom. Nothing wrong with that.
Blindsided by stats. Sorry, Warren. I did not plan for this.
It's okay. It's okay. It was funny. I don't mind.
All right. What'd you do, Chris?
I was in Iceland.
Land of the ice and snow, where the midnight sun and the hot springs blow. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not a Zeppelin fan.
No,
Don't pull that with me.
But you knew what it was.
Well,
I didn't.
So.
Good song.
I know who Hitler is. Doesn't mean I like him.
Wow. Goes
this
full
took a
in.
turn. Although
Good to
he's
have you
not
back,
wrong.
Chris. Good to have you back.
Full on Godwin. 8 seconds into the podcast.
Wow. What were you doing in Iceland?
Ostensibly, we were there for Iceland Airwaves, a music festival.
Right.
And then we kind of tacked on a marriage. So,
Yay! Hooray!
As one does. I know.
as one does.
Nice.
Yeah. No, so we got hitched. And yeah. So yeah.
Congratulations. Well done in going the furthest possible place on Earth to prevent Warren and I from attending your wedding.
That was by design, and not just for you guys. I mean, you would have been welcome. You would have been welcome to come, but it was to basically not have anybody there.
Right.
I mean, that's your call. It's your and Kat's marriage. So what the hell?
There was a handful of friends who were coming there anyway, so
right.
they were the main invitees, and then there are a few friends from London who wanted to make the trip. Some landed up doing so, some couldn't make the trip, but yeah. So it was a very small number, and that was the intent.
Nice, and in the cheap showiness of nature, not some Icelandic hall or something like that, which is
no. Not that I watched it past season 2 or really give a toss about it, but we got married where some famous Game of Thrones scene was shot.
I was gonna say it looks very. I saw the picture. It's like, what? This is like Game of Thrones. This is like the end of season 2 of Game of Thrones or something like that. Some two houses have just combined now. Now some dragon egg is gonna sort of separate them, and there's gonna be a massive cliffhanger in episode 3 of the next season because of this.
Chris in charge of a dragon terrifies me.
Yeah, like that.
Yes, as it should.
Well,
but yeah, no, we were there for a while. Did the music festival, hung around for a few days after. Did some sightseeing, and that is one gorgeous country.
oh, it's it looks not of this earth. You know, it's totally unique based on like I spent like literally 6 hours in Reykjavik on a layover to go from Edmonton to London in 2017. So that is the drive from the airport to somewhere else. The landing the plane. It felt like I'm landing on a planet, on some different planet. It just looks so alien to me, you know? Yeah.
Well, there's a reason so much otherworldly stuff gets filmed there. Is because it is like it's its own.
You hear that, Doctor Who?
Thing.
Yeah, I feel like everyone's shooting in Iceland though, but it's like right there. I mean, you know, it's like London to Reykjavik is
how far is it?
Much of a flight. It's
2 hour flight.
2 hour flight.
Okay, that's reasonable.
Nothing.
Something like that.
Kind of surprised I haven't been there yet, to be honest. You know. It's a whole different quarry. There's a whole different world of quarries in Iceland that are ready for you.
Moss-laden quarries.
Yeah.
I think I'm just making that up.
It's the kind of place that, like, when you think back to things that were filmed in like the Canary Islands, for example.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that could have been filmed up in Iceland and looked very similar, but I'm assuming the Canary Islands are probably cheaper.
They must be.
And what time of year it was too, probably.
Yeah, I imagine when you're
probably warmer as well.
Warmer, and when you're shooting like Doctor Who, let's say if you're shooting in July, Iceland's a great place. If you're shooting location scenes in November, when there's probably like 1.5 hours of sunlight for the whole day, you're probably not the best place to shoot. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, well, temperature-wise, Iceland only gets to like 13 degrees most of the time. Like it'll.
Right.
Wow.
I think it hit 20 or something this past year is a bit of an anomaly, but
Right. That's Celsius, Americans, by the way.
Celsius.
The rest of the world is on Celsius. You're the only ones on Fahrenheit, but we'll translate it for you for this one.
It doesn't get super warm like it would elsewhere.
That's perfect for you. You hate the heat, so I'm surprised you don't. Surprised you don't live in Iceland.
It was 5-6 degrees every day we were there. On the days without wind, it was actually not bad at all.
Wind.
Coming home to much snow and much colder temperatures, not so happy.
This is the real land of the ice and snow. Is Edmonton, Alberta? Let me tell you, winter everywhere, baby. Winter.
Yuck. There's a reason I left. Well, several, and that's one of them.
I know. I love it. I do love it. It puts me in.
I hate it so much.
It puts me in segue time. In the Christmas spirit, where this very day, and pulling back the curtain, folks, we're recording our first 8 Fluid Link Advent Calendar episodes. After we record this, if you want to get more in, send them our way on Twitter if it's still up. Hashtag Fluid Links. Or there's a comment on the website if you want to leave your comment. A lot of people have been doing that. So to submit your questions and comments for our daily Fluid Links Advent Calendar, we release 1 Fluid Link a day, December 1st to 24th. This time we're doing it on video. We're trying video for the first time, so bear with us. It's not high budget, but it's you can see us. So
much like Doctor Who. Well.
In the spirit
to be continued.
To be continued. Yes, I know. Is it low budget? Who knows? One more thing. We have a new logo. We have a new logo now. In incorporating the new era of Doctor Who. Thank you, Graham Kibble-White, who helped design it. I sent him a little very, very crude Photoshop thing with basically, here's the diamond logo of Doctor Who. And I sort of like slapped the Dalek on where he sort of is right there. This is, make that. And he did. Within like seconds. It was ridiculous.
I love the religious schism between people going, why isn't it updated from the iPod, to other people going, I love that it's the iPod.
I know. So for over the previous years, like every time we've updated the Dalek in the logo, like we put like a new iPhone in there with the current logo of the Doctor Who show. Like there's the Duartis in there, and the most recent one had the sort of the Who in the circle thing. But with the incongruous headphone jack coming out of the top, which of course is not it doesn't do that.
And an old episode on the iPod itself.
Yeah, and I thought, what the hell? Let's just go right back. iPod Classic. Seeing that Doctor Who is sort of going back in time a little bit with the design of the logo, and indeed with the people making the show, I thought,
and
perfect.
The Doctor himself.
Yeah, exactly. It's all sort of going back to 2008. So the original logo's on there. So hope you enjoyed that. It's well done. Thank you, Graham, for making that, because it was very pleased with it. So. You'll see that festooned on all of our social medias and whatnot over the. Well, it's already out there, but
well, Twitter still exists. It'll be there.
Yeah. I reactivated my Mastodon account, which was not an easy thing. I was desperately searching for a GIF because I didn't want to Google it. Of Dan Lewis coming back home at the beginning of Power of the Doctor, and his house was gone. And that's how I felt with my Mastodon account, thinking, oh, the server that you were on before is no longer in existence, so you have no home anymore. It's like, what does this mean? What do I do? I have no idea what to do.
I saw an open source person. She described it as like every other open source project. It doesn't work, and when you ask for help, nobody gives it to you. I'm like, man, that sounds about right.
I know. And then somebody just DM'd me an invite to a thing. I said, okay, I guess I click this, and so there I am. But yeah, so for what it's worth,
I have an account, but I have no idea what I'm doing, so I haven't bothered.
No, I used it. The last time I used it, Warren, was in 2018 from WorldCon in San Jose, posting that we had won Hugo Awards. You were there for that. This is why I mentioned you in it.
Yes.
And that was the last time. I honestly, I have no memory of that. I didn't remember going, oh, I need to post the Hugo win on Mastodon.
Send my toot. They're actually called toots. That's even dumber than tweets. How in the hell?
Yeah.
Call them dawns.
I mean, think of the earlier days of Twitter when they had the fail whale. Like, how does that fit in?
Well,
it's back. It's back in the form of Elon Musk. He's the fail whale.
Yeah, he really is. Kind of sad, you know. I like Twitter. I hope it steers out of this somehow and maybe gets sold for like $1,200 to some.
Yeah, it gets sold to Yahoo. So there we go.
Or whatever. I'll take it. I will take Yahoo owning it for whatever reason. I'll listen to that silly jingle from 2005 if I need to, just to run Twitter again. But you know, because it's a news feed to me. Twitter is, whereas Mastodon, I go on there and it's just there's people posting.
It's a bafflement engine. That's what Mastodon is.
It's people posting picture of their cats. It's like the internet from 2009.
That's not so bad.
It's not. You know, there's a certain charm to it. But I'm thinking, well, what's happening in the actual world right now? You know, I don't know.
That's why I have Apple News, my friend.
Apple News. This episode brought to you by Apple News. Anyway, Doctor Who. We're on this episode, by the way, is our commentary for part 2 of Earthshock. No spoilers, some spoilers, but the Cybermen are in this episode, and they mostly appear in this episode of Earthshock. So that's coming up later on in this episode. But first, stuff to discuss. There are reports out there. This came from Broadcast Magazine. Is it Broadcast Magazine, Warren? Is that what I'm getting that right? Broadcast?
I think it was, yeah, Broadcast, which is a UK trade publication, I believe.
There
with
it is.
With a paywall. Hooray.
Yeah, with a paywall. So you know it's somewhat reputable.
So it's legit.
They reported that with Disney Plus on board now, the Disney, whose stock price completely plummeted over this past week, and
due to this and this alone,
100% because of Doctor Who. Broadcast reported that the budget for each episode of Doctor Who might well triple from an existing 1 to 3 million pounds per episode to like 10 million pounds per episode. I don't know where this puts it if this is indeed the case, because this is insiders telling Broadcast this and all that. I don't know what the budget of other shows.
I think middling prestige is a good way to put it, because prestige shows, like, I hesitate to use this with the Star Trek stuff because that's. Prestige kind of got thrown on everything that's expensive, but basically I think the Star Trek shows are about 10 million per. So I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if that's which is nothing to cry about. It doesn't go as far as it used to.
I'm less excited about this now.
I just picked that out of a hat. Game of Thrones is like what, 15 million out of, or whatever. House of the Dragon, something like that. I don't know. I'm just guessing here, but it would put it substantially above where it used to look like. Let's put it that way.
So that means they'd have the money, Stephen, for them to bring in like Alex Kurtzman for an exec.
Shut up! Come on, come on,
Chris. We're very happy about your marriage and your trip, but please don't ruin it.
Let's. You know what? If he has to ruin one franchise, just let it. Just keep with Star Trek. Just ruin that. Just keep.
Why couldn't it be something I don't care about? Keep
driving it into the ground. That's kind of exciting, actually. You know. Which, you know, kind of explains why Doctor Who is, like, they're shooting now, or they're about to. They shot all of David Tennant's specials, about which war later. And they're not airing for over, like, basically a year, November of 2023. I mean, this is the amount of post-production. Remember when they were shooting Doctor Who Christmas specials in, like, I think they shot a Capaldi one in, like, September. It might have been Husband's River Song. I can't remember which one it was. They shot it literally 3 months before it aired. And I'm thinking, in retrospect, I'm thinking, that is like classic Doctor Who level turnaround almost, you know?
Well, that one was like, I think all studio, wasn't it? I can't think of a non-studio bit of it.
That might have been, yeah, now that I think about it. I mean, apart from like maybe a couple of interiors or something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to see what this increased budget does. So exciting times ahead once again. for Doctor Who if this report is indeed correct. And I don't. It feels like such a very specific sort of thing that it's not like something that would sort of like be used to fuel rumors for whatever reason. So.
Well, as somebody who works in the B2B space, I really feel dirty saying that. But as somebody who works for a business-to-business publication,
right,
your reputation is staked on this kind of stuff. So you don't report that unless you got pretty good info.
Right.
Because it's people in the business buying it. If they go, this is crap, well, then they're not going to buy your magazine anymore. So
that's true.
Why would you do that?
Yeah. Exciting things, exciting times ahead. Just like Doctor Who magazine, 584 came out. A new era for them, new logo, Doctor Who magazine logo on there. David Tennant on the cover. I thought it might be David Tennant and Ncuti Gatwa, but I was wrong in my guess. Boy oh boy, it feels like night and day from the previous era to this current era. Where
just a little, hey,
just a wee bit. Like for the past 5 years, Doctor Who magazine has done their best, but if the official producers aren't given much, and they weren't, there's not much you could do in the magazine. Here we are, one issue in to the official Russell T Davies era, and there's a whole thing about. Here are all the producers, and here's some of the directors, who are already working on the show. Russell T Davies is saying, "Hey, here's the things I'm working on and stuff." And then there's even a new monthly column from new script editor Scott Hancock, where he's saying, "Here's what I did today." Basically a production diary. It's literally called that, a production diary of how they're making Doctor Who. We already know now because of Doctor Who magazine that they've got 7 episodes written for the first series of Ncuti Gatwa, which is not airing for another year and a half probably. And James Page was announced as the new brand manager of Doctor Who. A whole host of stuff. I'm just reading through this, what? This is what? I feel like there's just been...
What?
I know, I've been like that, for 5 years trying to dive into, trying to dig for any new content whatsoever about the making of the show. And they just put it out there, and it's something.
He just tweeted it out.
He just tweeted it out. Yeah.
To quote a tweet from several years ago.
The director they mentioned for Block 1 of the new series, Dylan Holmes Williams. So that they mentioned a bunch of people, and this person mentions that the first Doctor Who they remember watching is The End of the World. Oh. So, I mean, they've come to Doctor Who with a new series.
Yep.
Which is, more ever increasingly going to be the norm.
Mm-hmm. Dylan Holmes Williams, by the way, sounds like a Doctor Who production crew name generator. It's like
it does.
Sayward Nathan Turner or something is another name of another director for Block 2 or something like that. But
apparently they've done a couple episodes of Servant, which is a very creepy and atmospheric show. So I'd like to think that means Doctor Who should be in good hands.
Yeah. I have to, I sort of earlier surmised because Chania Button was on set directing the same day that Rachel Talalay tweeted out that she was directing over Zoom. And I had sort of put 2 and 2 together thinking that Chania Button was directing on behalf of Rachel Talalay. I was wrong. She gets her whole episode. The 3rd special is hers. Tom Kingsley, who's done...
also another person who came to Doctor Who with a new series.
Yeah, modern series. I'm very much calling it the modern series these days because new is not new anymore. Tom Kingsley is the second director, and then Rachel Talalay directed the first special. I think we kind of knew that because she was talking about how she directed the Regeneration, David Tennant's Regeneration. So... Which is interesting. So yes, there's a whole host of, there's also they listed the new producers and stuff. A lot of them have worked on his Dark Materials and stuff, for that Bad Wolf has already done. Joel Collins, I think, has done that. Vicky Dillow was also a script producer on his Dark Materials as well. And there's some people that obviously they are comfortable with working on previous Bad Wolf shows that are now going to be working on Doctor Who. So that's kind of cool. So we have the whole list of them. It's fun.
One of the producers, Chris May, coming from first AD position on Sex Education. So familiarity with Ncuti Gatwa as well.
I wonder if he was the thing. Hey, we should do the Ncuti Gatwa fellow. Maybe he'd be good as Doctor Who. I don't think it was like that, but you never know. Never know.
Well, we'll find out because Russell T Davies will probably tell us at some point.
He will. I'll tell you what. He sometimes he tells more than he's letting on. So he has a column in there, letter from the showrunner. Maybe this is going to be an ongoing thing too. I don't know, or maybe Scott Hancock sort of takes over. But I feel like Russell T Davies is sort of the very hands-on type of person that he likes talking about Doctor Who and writing stuff and things. And this is where he writes, Interior Coffee Bar, USA Day 1947. It's written in there. Maybe that's a episode set around the wall as well. Who knows? Here is one thing that really jumped out at me. So he goes, the press, the article sort of saying, how did this all come to be? And it was like, basically, it was the tweet-alongs that Emily Cook arranged in 2020 in the early days of the pandemic. And it was December 18th, 2020, when they did the tweet-along for Runaway Bride. And like David Tennant, Catherine Tate, Russell T Davies were all sort of like online tweeting along. And they said, oh, wow, this is amazing and fun and stuff. And that's where they concocted the idea of maybe we should come back and do a special. And here's the part of it that really made me interesting, because he sort of goes on and says, okay, he knew it was 60 years coming up, like in 3 years' time. And he kind of knew, this would be quoting, I kind of knew vaguely that Chris Chibnall was only doing 3 years as showrunner. And then he says, oh, Chris and I are old mates. He goes on to sort of like, assure people before he says this. So I just thought, well, I'll throw it out there, his idea of maybe doing a reunion episode with Tennant and Tate. And since Chris is doing the busiest job in TV, I won't add to his workload. I'll email Piers Wenger, the director of drama. And then he gets back to him later on. And I just thought, is that him? Is that Russell T Davies being like courteous and not adding to the workload? Or is that Russell T Davies going to BBC Drama saying, I think maybe we should take Doctor Who in a different direction, and here's my idea for it? Because that's kind of the impression I picked up on.
Could be both. Could very well be both.
Because I don't know. It feels like he almost kind of goes like over his head a little bit.
It does seem a little undercutty. So there is that.
Yeah, I think there's more to that than meets the eye, but maybe we'll find out the real story in the years to come.
And Benjamin Cook's A Writer's Tale too. Yeah. More writers as tales as.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Speaking of Benjamin Cook, there is sorry, I just scrolled past. There's a bunch of custom Lego console creations, and now I want to reverse engineer that. That's in Doctor Who magazine, because those are some pretty cool looking consoles. So I will save that for later. There's a whole host of interviews and stuff with like David Tennant and Russell T Davies and Chris Chibnall and Rachel Talalay, Jamie Magna Stone and Ben Pickles. The one that was causing a bit of stir online was Russell T Davies' insistence that David Tennant not regenerate and be wearing Jodie Whittaker's costume at the end of The Power of the Doctor. It caused a bit of a stir because I think people say, oh, you don't like having men and women's clothing or something like that. And he sort of goes on to explain that, he felt that he's aware of like the drag aspect of it and about that, and how like the media might have a field day with it without any context. And I kind of see where he's coming from. Yeah,
a half and half on this.
Half and half.
I see where he's coming from. I also think in 2022, it isn't as big a deal as he thinks it is. But
but the tabloids in the UK are pretty vicious.
It's the tabloids.
His remark about the media taking, if there is Tennant regenerating into Whittaker's outfit, the media, the tabloids, whatever, taking it and weaponizing his word, weaponizing that photo.
Part of me says tough, but I don't have to put up with it.
I don't think he's wrong.
No, I don't think he's wrong either. I can see why he did it. I can see why some people would be upset about it, seeing that we just saw Sacha Dhawan wearing her outfit earlier on in the episode. But yeah, I almost feel like he was maybe being a little overprotective. But as you were saying, Warren, we don't exist in that UK tabloid world, and I think the UK tabloids have kind of been kicking Doctor Who a bit over the past couple years. As ratings for literally everything falls, but because ratings have fallen for Doctor Who, then therefore it's ripe for kicking. And giving them any extra ammo whatsoever that they might use even wrongly, I think is, probably not a good thing. So,
I mean, it's the last thing he needs is to deal with their nonsense as he's trying to put this show on the air. But at the same time, it just seems like I don't see what the big deal is having Tennant in the costume, honestly. Just standing 100 miles away and looking at him like, okay, Tennant's in her costume. That makes sense.
Although they did film those parts like literally months apart. Like they shot
I suppose.
in May of May 13th, they shot Tennant's part. And Jodie was done, November? October, possibly, the previous year. So, months went by before in between shots like that. So it's also, not like they had a costume to go on them.
And this is just me. I think clothing regenerating is dumb. So that just bugs me in and of itself.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Because, when people say, "Oh, well, actually did that in the 10th Planet Power of the Daleks," I know. Because whenever people say, if I see something dumb in a Marvel movie or series, and someone will go, "Oh, well, you know what? There's precedence because that's the way it was in the comics." So sure, there's precedence. That doesn't make it a good idea. It might have been a dumb idea back in 1978 or something like that in issue whatever of the comics. You don't necessarily need to replicate it.
Here's what I want to praise the latest Black Panther. Namor in the comics is, as described on the Empire Film Podcast, a massive bell end. and that may have changed since the 60s and 70s from when I remember reading the old issues and stuff, but he's just a one-note jerk in those, although I'm sure some Marvel person will tell me otherwise. But in this, he's a much more complicated character. So I do like that they do stuff like that now.
Well, yeah, I know what you mean. They update it for the thing. So I'm curious. I say I'm curious to see how they explain why he's regenerated into his new clothes
I don't think
already.
They will. I think they'll just take it as read.
Yeah, exactly. They'll probably just be I'm just wearing my clothes again.
Yep.
Or maybe what I'll do is I'll read the comic in Doctor Who magazine because for the first time, the comics that's in Doctor Who magazine 584 is treated as canon. This is the first adventure of the 14th Doctor, and it's in comic form in Doctor Who magazine. So I won't spoil it because it's in there. You have to, I'm sure it's not vital. I'm sure that once Doctor Who shows up again in November of next year, they won't be referring to this 12-part series that aired that was printed in Doctor Who magazine. But it's official. It is an official thing.
Can I just point out though, for the millionth time, this is exactly what you hate about Star Wars and various other things.
Yep. Exactly.
It is the first tenuous steps, isn't it, of Doctor Who going into sort of a wider continuity outside of televised stuff.
Yep.
And I'm not sure
how glasses just for pushing them up.
Yeah. But I mean, everyone's doing it now, I feel like it's just we're just doing it.
The apology tour has begun.
I know.
All right,
it's just we're the last holdout, whatever. Guess this is what genre entertainment is now.
Just like you railed against Doctor Who ever going to a streaming service.
I did.
And then flipped the script.
I did because I realized that basically the entire industry had moved to streaming and Doctor Who was the only one that wasn't. I thought, well,
you're nothing if not adaptable. Let's put it that way.
There, right?
Yep. Next up, you're going to want Dave Filoni running the show.
I do.
Where's my Ashoka content? Damn it! I know it's a different series completely.
I know. I'm so glad that Doctor Who was not the. It was a merchandising juggernaut in its way, but it wasn't like Star Wars toys in the 70s and 80s that we basically have shows based on Star Wars toys now. And I'm kind of glad that we don't have that in terms of Doctor Who. Unless a Cyberman comes out and he's got a nose because the Cyberman toy from 1976. Had a nose, and that's a reference to that. And it's
can you imagine if they somehow worked Daypole abominations into this?
Why is my TARDIS 5-sided? Why is the console only have 5 sides? Well, actually,
I would not put it past them to sneak that in there. And if they do it right, then fine. But
two-handed Davros, yeah.
Two-handed Davros. We're talking about the Daypole line of toys from the late 1980s, folks. Google it if you want to know the various efforts that Daypole went to make accurate on-screen representations, which boiled down to being sent one photo and surmising what it must look like from that. Because they never got the official prints.
They couldn't really go on the internet and do research now, could they? So
they couldn't in those days. Trickier times. So Anyway, a jam-packed issue of Doctor Who magazine now with the it's not that it wasn't essential reading before, but I feel now that there's going to be actual new Doctor Who news and revelations inside each issue, direct from the source, which is kind of exciting. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's they don't even have like the next issue of Doctor Who magazine. It's all a surprise now. So because there's stuff to surprise us with. So. It's exciting time to be a Doctor Who fan again. Is that it? Where are we in the news list? I've lost my place. We're doing the Timelash now. Is that what we're doing? We're gonna look back in time and do stuff. Is that what we want to do? Fine. We'll do that then. This is it. This is where we look back in this week in Doctor Who history. There's a whole bunch of merchandise stuff after this. That's what kind of confused me. So. From November 13th to November 19th is the era we'll be looking back at. Pretty big day in history, November 13th, for a couple of reasons. The debut broadcast of the Daleks Master Plan, Episode 1, The Nightmare Begins, aired on BBC One. There would not be a different Doctor Who story until like late January of 1966.
Which seems nuts when you think about it.
Yeah. Giant story. So of which some 35 mil model footage still exists. They found it in a film can, I think, when they were busy making Resistance is Useless back in the early 90s. So thanks, random person who accidentally saved model footage when you probably should have burnt it. So, And jumping ahead to 1976, the debut broadcast of The Deadly Assassin, Episode 3 on BBC One.
Yes.
The cliffhanger ending, of course, which is a freeze frame of Tom Baker's Doctor being drowned in the water. Mary Whitehouse, the crusader that she was, complained, and the BBC apologized and edited the master tape. That is the only time in history that episode has actually aired in its original form on original 625-line PAL videotape.
So even now, like if I fired it up on BritBox, I wouldn't see the original. That's unacceptable.
No, you are watching an up-resed, off-air American version of it. Or not off-air. It's from the American master, but they had to, for standards correction, that quick little shot of it. Yeah.
I mean, I guess I grew up with that, so fine, but...
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they had it in the UK. I think it wasn't until much later that they finally reinstated it from an American version of it. I think for the longest time, like when it was on video, I don't think they included that last shot. So it was a missing episode for a while, which is quite something. Philip Hinchcliffe basically got fired that day as a Doctor Who producer. What do you think about it?
Great.
Yeah, because of Mary Whitehouse, because of an angry fan.
I don't think she was a fan. She was just angry.
She's just angry. Which kind of sometimes makes her a fan. If she wasn't a fan, Warren, why was she watching it so intently? Tell me that.
You got me there. This is quite the puzzle that we'll never solve.
Exactly. Anyone who want to comment on Bonnie Langford, November 13th, 1986, was contracted for season 24 of Doctor Who.
Mel takes a lot of crap she shouldn't, frankly. She's not that bad a companion. I mean, she's not the greatest companion in the world either, but
right.
I don't know. You watch him again, you're like, Mel's not so bad. Big deal.
Chris, did that smack of Sylvester McCoy's season 24 praise there? Is that what I heard?
Yeah, well, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Okay. Yeah, I'd say let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Okay, all right. Thought I might have heard that. Let's move on to November the 14th. Happy birthday, Paul McGann. Paul McGann's birthday on that day, which is cool because what happens the next day in history, but we'll get to that. Because I legitimately forgot the day when that happened. I knew Paul McGann's birthday was on the 14th, though. I know this because I think it was at Li Who that one year where he was at Li Who, and it was his birthday, and
yep.
And everyone sang happy birthday. I think that's featured in Doctor Who Am I, actually,
yep.
Now that I think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of cool.
Yep, because the production team for that were there.
That's true. So. Happy birthday, Paul McGann, as seen recently in The Power of the Doctor, of course. which is pretty cool. Anything else from this day that jumps out at you for November 14th?
Only that I forgot that Once Upon a Time was a Flux episode, or indeed anything about Flux, really.
I know. Flux seems a billion years ago. I need to watch it again because I forget most of it. You know? But yeah, November 14th, 1 year ago, episode 3, Once Upon a Time, broadcast on BBC One, BBC HD. So there we go. Also, Sleep. Speaking of Elihu, 2015, when we were there, Sleep No More aired on BBC One and BBC One HD, and they showed it live. They didn't show it live. They showed it on the big screen and at Elihu, and we did an immediate podcast reaction panel of
for all the crap that story takes.
Right.
People in the audience loved it.
Did they really though?
They were cheering and screaming. Yes. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. Maybe they were. Maybe I didn't love it that much. I don't know. A lot of people have sort of given it.
Well, as the center of the universe, I could see how you'd make that mistake. But
yeah,
you are Toronto in this scheme.
That's true, I suppose. I don't know. I don't think a lot of people love Sleep No More. I think it would have been great, like 20 years ago, when found footage movies were a little more of its time. Where
I'm not disagreeing with anything you're saying here. I'm just saying the audience at that moment was enjoying it. So
it was a positive shared experience.
Mm-hmm. Also, I find it interesting. I don't think it's particularly great, but it is interesting to see a found footage Doctor Who story.
I agree. Yeah. I'll have to watch that again, I guess. Reappraise it, but...
Yeah, you don't have to. You really don't.
No, I like it. Listen, I'm watching all of it. I love watching Doctor Who.
You'll get there in time.
I know. I don't know if you've noticed this, but I love watching Doctor Who. I do it all the time. I know. I have to pace myself. Watching one episode a day, as I've been doing, is like torture to me because I just want to keep watching it, and like it's just I don't know what Warren. I don't know what is with this stupid show. Why could I never stop watching it and loving it?
I've started firing up the Plex, even though I pay for BritBox. I still fire up the Plex BritBox stream thing, and I'm just like, hey, I can just have this on the background. Why the hell not?
Right, and it's just like whatever random episode's on. It's like
exactly. That's the charm of it. Yeah,
it is the charm of it. I'll listen. I'm firing it up now because I'm so intrigued to see what's going to be on Plex TV on right now as of recording, and I'll let you know once we get there. But first we'll go on to November 15th. This is the day I was thinking of. I just want to jump ahead very quickly because wasn't this the or maybe it was the 14th? I'm losing track. Was it the 14th or 15th that Night of the Doctor dropped online? I think it was the 14th because it was Paul McGann's birthday. So that might have been the thing. Remember that? Remember when nobody knew it was happening, and then all of a sudden, like it was like the greatest 19 seconds of anticipation before Paul McGann came on screen and said, I'm the Doctor, but not the one you're expecting, and the internet just lost its mind. It was great.
Yeah, I remember waking up to a tweet storm nonpareil of reactions.
It was pretty cool. Pretty cool. Good times. November 15th. Anything jumping out at you on November 15th?
1966. David Ellis and Malcolm Hulke submit a storyline entitled "The Big Store."
I want to see this. I want to see the script for this.
Well, it became
became the Faceless Ones.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
So
the big airport.
It was They moved it from a store to an airport. Maybe once they were able to shoot in Gatwick or something like that. But
originally involved being in a big store and aliens subjugating humanity by releasing a new strain of the bubonic plague.
There you are.
Didn't somebody figure out that if you work it out that the first and second Doctor are in the airport at the same time somehow, or I don't know, it might have been fan wish casting.
Surely someone must have done something, either in Big Finish or comics or something, about everything happening around July 20th, 1966. Yeah. Because War Machines and Evil of the Daleks.
Right, yes.
Happening at the same time. Yeah. Don't know. What else happened here? Warren, last time we could say is Pyramids of Mars, episode 4, broadcast for the first time November 15th, 1975. Yeah.
Yep. Basically a repeat of Death of the Daleks episode 4, but...
How dare you? How absolutely dare you?
More or less.
But one gets praise and one doesn't.
Yeah, because one's great and one isn't.
Tell us more about Death of the Daleks, which they were shooting location footage of on that very same day 2 years previously on November 15th, 1973. Chris's favorite Dalek story of all time. Not really.
No, not of all time.
Your favorite John Pertwee Dalek story. I know.
Yes, well, the bar is kind of low for the Pertwee Dalek stuff.
How dare you?
Yeah.
Day of the Daleks is great. I will die on this hill.
Yes, yes, you are dead on that hill.
I
said it, I did it.
Shada, recording for Shada was due to take place November 15th, 1979 at Ealing, at BBC TV Film Studios in Ealing. It was canceled, probably due to industrial action, quite probably, because, of course, industrial action canceled the whole damn thing. So, until many people would make different versions over the ensuing 45 years, but which is pretty cool. So there you go.
Yes, including the BBC themselves with the Paul McGann version.
That's right.
Just to keep talking about Paul McGann.
I know, it's this Paul McGann thing. By the way, Robots of Death, episode 2 is airing right now on the Plex Doctor Who channel.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
It's a good one. It's just towards the end. The Sandmice, there she's going. It's just Pamela Salem and everyone's going, and then there's a cliffhanger, and we're out. So there you go. That's what just happened on this day in history, November 15th. Or no, what are we? November 12th, 2022. Robots of Death aired on Plex TV.
To jump ahead a little bit, 2009, The Waters of Mars.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. That was fantastic.
That was a good story. I haven't watched that in a long time, and I really should, because we really liked it.
The pacing is fantastic in it. Like when RTD is firing on all cylinders, and he most certainly is for this one, you can come up with a real corker.
Yeah. Co-written with Phil Ford.
With Phil Ford, yeah.
Directed Graham Harper. Remember those heady days in this podcast? So that was that aired on a Sunday, which is super rare at the time. And Chris, I think you came over to my place and watched it, and we did a podcast later that
same
day.
Yep.
And even more exciting for this humble podcast at the time was the previous week we had Phil Ford on the show talking about
it.
You know, and we're like, early days for us in interviews and stuff, and especially doing them online. And I remember, like, Chris, you were on there, and you were sort of silent, just recording a backup of the interview, and I was like, we gotta get this in again, and we can't have it fail, so we have to record like 8 different versions of it so it doesn't crap out.
Well, fair enough.
Yeah.
That rings a bell,
Yeah. Early days, exciting days. Well, they're all exciting days, but and I also want to mention Ken Grieve, who directed Destiny of the Daleks, which I just finished watching this past week. Died. That's the only Doctor Who story he directed, and it's worthy of note. Destiny of the Daleks, steady cam, a bunch of interesting shots in there, interesting casting choices, given how diverse the whole cast was before diversity was even a thing. Yeah, I think we kind of overlooked Ken Grieve in the annals of Doctor Who. And we should probably look at it a little more. People just see Destiny of the Daleks and think, oh, it's cheap tatty Daleks and Novellans and, Boney M silver wigs and stuff like that. But no, there's some real talent there. So,
and that was just script edited by Douglas Adams, not written by him, right?
Yeah, yes.
Because there are definite Adams-isms in there.
Oh yeah.
Well, he would have punched it up, yeah. And then, as I recall, Grieve was also pretty good with coming back years and years later for the VAM.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, the Doctor Who DVD VAM. Yeah. So there you go. That's November 15th. That's what happened. November 16th.
One week away from the initial broadcast, 1963. We have a trailer.
Some things never change. The first trailer for Doctor Who is broadcast November 16th, 1963. That doesn't exist. Does the audio exist of that even, I wonder? If so, I've never seen it, or if I have, I've forgotten about it. Because it's probably just as next Saturday on Doctor Who, a new time-traveling alien. It's probably something nonsensical like that. And then they show like a 2-minute scene from the episode or something, and I'd be fascinated to see what trailers are. But wow, that is so cool. And it didn't at all pretend that in 6 days the president of the United States would be shot. So
why would they know that? Unless
they had something to do with it. Yeah. You want to talk about Brian Hales? 1965, he was commissioned to write The Hands of Aten and the White Witch. Surprise, surprise, neither of those were made.
I was going to say, what the hell are those?
Yeah.
And ended up being.
Although maybe that sort of like opened the door for him to start writing Celestial Toymaker and then have someone else finish it.
I can't really find much on the White Witch, but even The Hands of Aten is not... Would have been First Doctor Stephen Dodo, season 3, but not much out there for information, like nothing about the story.
Uh-huh.
It's the most famous jazz hands in the universe. It was a Bob Fosse takeoff. Years before Bob Fosse was a thing. Well, he probably was a thing at 64.
I think it was back then, yeah. Interesting. Brian Hales, commissioned to write a lot of stuff, paid to write a lot of stuff, and had a lot of stuff of his rewritten over the years. It's quite something. Seeds of Death, Monster of Peladon, Celestial Toymaker, all heavily rewritten by script editors. Fascinating career. I look forward to seeing the Where's, looking for Brian Hales on the season 6 box set or something like that, because I'd like to know more about his career, because he died very young too. So, what else? Anything else jump out at you for November 16th, 1 week from the official anniversary?
I think I know what Chris is going to say, so I'll just clear the floor for him.
1978, David Fisher is commissioned to write The Creature from the Pit.
What a day. What a day.
Oh, yeah.
I'm coming up to that one this week. I'm watching that this week. I'm not really looking forward to it. It's not very good, but it's memorable.
It's got some moments.
It does.
I think collectively we're bigger season 17 fans than some.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Almost apologists, you might say.
You're allowed to like something even though it's crappy, Chris. I love The Invisible Enemy. I'll admit it's crap.
Yeah.
Because with things like Horns of Naimon and Nightmare of Eden.
Right.
Horns of Naimon is fun, though. It's so stupid. It's fun.
There's some enjoyable stuff in there. Mm-hmm. And then you were talking about Shada being canceled, apparently in 1982. Some recording for Enlightenment was also canceled because of industrial action.
We're in the industrial action phase here, are we? Yeah, Shada and Enlightenment. I look forward to seeing Doctor Who 1980s on Twitter run through this a little bit here, because now it... This hasn't reared its head yet in the on that Twitter account. So exciting times. I love reading about industrial action canceling Doctor Who recordings.
Wow.
I know.
But anyway, I would like to point out 1988, which is the opposite of the elation of Creature of the Pit, because Mark Platt is commissioned to write Ghostlight, for which he should be ashamed.
Oh, on the same day, Warren.
Such an amazing story, that one.
Okay.
Terrible.
Listen, what a day. Mark Platt commissioned to write Ghostlight. Same day, Rona Munro was commissioned to write the first episode of Survival. The same day, broadcast Warren's favorite episode of Doctor Who ever, The Happiness Patrol Episode 3 on BBC One. Right?
Well, Rona Munro came back, so we know who's worth a damn in this scenario.
Fifi lives. She's
Fifi
faking
lives
it.
and the Candyman dies.
She's just resting. I love the Candyman. Love the Candyman. I do. Really do. What else? Oh, this is exciting. November 16th, 2007. Time Crash on BBC One.
I love Time Crash. I love it.
It's super great.
Belgium.
Peter Davison's second after Dimensions in Time. But amazing to think that Davison would be back again in 15 years after that in Power of the Doctor.
This is also well before anything like, David Tennant marrying his daughter.
That's right.
So,
wow, what a complicated history they have.
Imagine the atmosphere on set if some time traveler came back from the future to whisper in Peter Davison's ear, "This guy's gonna marry your daughter."
That would be Steven. if anybody would travel back in time to go into Doctor Who, it'd be Steven. So let's just set that right. There's two things about Time Crash, besides it just being fun, that I love. One is that Murray Gold sneaks in some very 1980s music in one little tiny bit. And the other is that the really honestly quite touching part where David Tennant as the Doctor says, "You were always my Doctor," to Peter David. I just love that bit. It's so metatextually great.
I agree, because, I don't think the 80s sort of been celebrated as much at that point. Everyone was sort of like, it's new Flash Doctor Who, but the theme tune was based on the original 60s theme tune, and it was kind of like, everyone sort of had a warm, fuzzy haze for like Tom Baker era and stuff. And then the 80s were there. And I feel like Time Crash is like the first time where it's like, yeah, 80s, man, neon logo era Doctor Who. It was good, too.
I never thought otherwise, because that was partly my era when I was growing up. So.
Yeah, exactly. That's the one that I became a super fan in. And so it was 15 years later, it was great to see that era celebrated again in Power of the Doctor. So, which is kind of cool. Yeah. Anything else on November 16th that jumps out at you at all that's exciting?
No, we got some doozies on the 17th.
Okay, let's jump ahead, Chris. What's floating your boat on November 17th in history?
Kevin Clark is commissioned to write the first episode of Silver Nemesis.
Oh, no. Why would they do that?
Also, Graham Williams is being commissioned to write The Nightmare Fair.
Yeah. One shouldn't have been made, one wasn't made.
Yeah, it's a really good summation, actually.
Pretty much. Yeah. Boy, did I have oh boy. Silver Nemesis. When I was a kid watching it for the first time, because I watched the documentary, The Making of Doctor Who, literally months before I saw the actual story, Silver Nemesis. And so I was looking forward to it there. Honestly, that hour-long documentary probably fueled my interest in music because of Kef McCullough and making TV more than anything ever would. So kudos to that. And so then I saw it and I thought, wow, I know how they made this. And wow, Cybermen are blowing up. And then I watched it like as a little more of a mature adult years later going, this is really bad. This is not a good story. What was I thinking?
That's the TV industry in a nutshell. Hey, interesting as hell, but also terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just going to throw this out there. What's worse?
Yeah.
What's worse? In the Power of the Doctor, the Cybermen all of a sudden becoming immune to gold, or Ace slingshotting gold coins into the Cybermen's chests?
Neither are worse. I think Cybermen are just adapting.
Nemesis.
They're adapting in Power of the Doctor. I have no problem with that. And it looks cool. Ace slingshotting.
Yeah,
Cybermen.
I can't really hold anything against either of those, because that is pretty badass on Ace's part.
It looks really cool, but it made no sense.
The whole point of gold in the Cybermen is the gold clogs up their breathing apparatus.
Yeah.
And there's no way the coins are going to do that.
Unless Cybermen have a really bad design, in which case their chest units actually break down gold, which happens to clog their chest units. Thinking, why would they do it? It's dumb. It's dumb.
I love how this is the white whale. Like, of all the stuff you could pick apart in Silver Nemesis, and there is so much, this is the thing that gets you. It is. Yeah. It is dumb. Don't get me wrong.
The Cybermen are the best part of it. I mean, I like Fiona Walker as Lady Painfort, but there's just the dumb limo scenes, and oh god, episode 3 is where it all falls. Well, episode 2 as well.
You mean and you don't like Dolores Gray?
No, I don't like. No, only John Nathan Turner knew who Dolores Gray was.
Yeah, exactly. Also, he seems to love these pointless, drawn-out vehicle scenes to pad things out, I guess.
Oh. I suppose. Really? Oh. Name another one, Warren.
Battlefield is the same thing. Battlefield. There you go. There's another one.
Oh, I suppose there is, yeah. When they're driving around.
There's this, you got the same kind of fish out of water, fish out of time thing going on with both of those. So
fish out of time. Oh, what a day. What a day. Creature from the Pit episode 4, by the way, broadcast as well. Which featured at the very end of the previous episode, the kill off Lady Adrasta, which is Adrasta, who is the best part of that whole story, because I find Mira Francis very delectable in that outfit.
Oh yes, she was very attractive.
And then she's gone for episode 4. It's like I'm just watching a damn garbage bag blob and a bunch of Jewish stereotypes talking about metal. So what's the point of this from now on? Now that Myra Francis is no longer in this story. So,
it's a strong argument. Well made.
Thank you. Creature from the Pit, one of the most disappointing. Part 4, one of the most disappointing episodes of Doctor Who ever made. Broadcast November 17th. 1979. We should point out, though, 2010, November 17th, 2010, recording for the Impossible Astronaut Day of the Moon takes place in Utah at Valley of the Gods in Monument Valley. Not seen off camera were about 40 to 50 set visitors who like drove for hours to watch this filming. Who can blame him, really? If Doctor Who showed up in, like, I don't know, Banff,
you'd go. Oh, you totally
I'd drive. Go. Absolutely, I'd drive to Banff to go watch Doctor Who being filmed. Yeah, it's like 4 hours. 4 hour drive.
Was the last America set episode Daleks of Manhattan? Or am I wrong about that? Because the look is just leagues beyond.
Angels Take Manhattan.
Yeah, but that's after this, isn't it?
That's after this, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, like, it just...
Oh, the last one before that?
Yeah, last one before that, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean, yeah. So,
sorry.
Yeah,
so just the look of this is just so far beyond what was in the previous era.
Yeah, but Daleks, I mean, they shot a few plates.
Yeah, it's
just I know. Really. I'm just saying it just noticeably more America. You know what I mean? So,
I know, and it was like those aerial shots of like Monument Valley and Doctor Who. Like, remember the heady days when like BBC America was a big thing and they were starting to reel properly fund. They had acquired it for the previous year, but this is the first time I think they really sort of like full on started being involved in it, and they got the money. I think they chipped in the money to bring them over, and like it was like Doctor Who cracks America for the first time, and it was like this.
Well, 10 million per episode. We might be seeing real Roswell, New Mexico.
Quite possibly, Like that's like obviously they've only been shooting in the UK. Because I think we'd probably know if they were
that's true.
outside of the UK shooting stuff right now. But yeah, they might be back in the States shooting stuff, so who knows? Maybe they will come to Banff. Who knows?
Banff. Finally, it'll be set in Banff.
Yes.
Your demand for an Edmonton-based episode will finally be heard.
Just like
I would fly back home, visit my parents, and be a nerd on the set, or next to the set.
It'll be set in Banff, but filmed in Jasper.
The ultimate insult.
Filmed in Canmore,
and it will be like it won't even be actual Banff. It'll be like space Banff. Like it won't be. It'll
with
be
CG
like
mountains just to further insult you.
It will be like a
for
planet.
no reason because they're right there and they're breathtaking.
It'll be like a planet in the Action Galaxy or something like that, and it's not even actual Banff. It'll just look exactly like Banff. And it's like we almost had a story set in Canada. Nope, space Banff.
I just have this image of the production crew with like the mountains behind them and all the glory of Banff, and then just a big green screen behind the actors.
Yep.
Why did we do this? Because we could.
Why did you come all this way? This is not the way to spend $10 million an episode, guys. You're doing it wrong. November 18th. Let's move on. Happy birthday, Stephen Moffat. 61 years old, Stephen Moffat is, if my math is correct. Because he can't be 71 because that's too old. So 61 years old. So happy birthday. How about that?
Wait. I was going to say that's wrong, but I realized, I was born in 1970. That's absolutely right.
Yeah,
oh, God.
Absolutely right. What a day, actually. This is quite something. 1963, they had to remount the first episode of the Dalek story because of audio issues, thanks to Lime Grove. So they had to do it all over again. I think they shot that in between episode 3 and episode 4. I think they had to push everything back. What's notable is that the only footage of this that exists now is the cliffhanger reprise on episode 2, which is the plunger going towards Barbara, and then it sort of cuts to black for the episode title. What I find fascinating about that is that because we don't hear Barbara's scream on the cliffhanger reprise, I think Jacqueline Hill's scream at the end of the eventual finished version of episode 1 is one of the most chilling cliffhanger screams in history on the show. And I think it makes that episode. If she screamed any different way, it wouldn't be as effective. So I am glad that on November 18th, they decided to scrap that episode of Doctor Who and reshoot it, because maybe that scream wouldn't have been as effective as the eventual version was. And maybe they would have canceled Doctor Who outright because of that one scream.
I was going to say, I completely agree with, no, I don't, not anymore.
You get what I'm after, though, right? Yeah.
I think you think too hard about this.
I do.
Frankly.
I do a lot. I do. What are we at here? Anything else jumping? Yeah, those are pretty two notable things.
1987.
1987? What's going on in 1987?
Oh, yeah. What the hell is that?
Robin Mukherjee is commissioned to provide a storyline for Alexion.
Oh, that's as far as it went. I know that I don't know who Robin Mukherjee is, but I know that they're one of the authors that Andrew Cartmel was targeting at the very beginning of his time, yeah.
Apparently it would have been the part of season 27. It would have been McCoy's last story.
Oh, wow.
His regeneration into Richard Griffiths.
That's a pie in the sky notion.
Which would have been the actor cast to replace him at the time.
Funny.
Maybe.
That would later become Donald Sutherland in a TV movie or something like that.
Oh, dear.
Or Paul McGann in a TV movie.
Or Paul McGann, or David, what's his name, who had his new Doctor Who's it's a whole documentary. I can't even remember his name. Yeah, interesting times for Doctor Who, those late 80s there. Planning for stuff that would never actually happen, which, is TV in a nutshell, let's face it. But also on November 18th, 2005, we talked about the first canon appearance of David Tennant's Doctor and the 14th Doctor in Doctor Who magazine. Well, the first proper appearance for his 10th Doctor persona was on the Children in Need special, a.k.a. Pudsey Cutaway, November 18th, 2005 for Children in Need. Remember, maybe we'll get Doctor Who Children in Need stuff again. Wouldn't that be fun? We haven't had those in years. Like an actual...
That'd be kind of cool, yeah.
Yeah, like a special recorded scene and stuff. That'd be kind of fun.
I mean, they've done bits and pieces of stuff, but not nothing the same way.
Pudsey Cutaway was filmed way, way into the season 2 recording.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah, I don't remember when, but...
third production block or something?
Probably for Rise of the Cybermen Age of Steel, because it was recording the same day, so... is my guess. Wow, it's quite something. Also, November 18th, 2012, the
Absolutely.
BBC Controller of Drama Commissioning, Ben Stevenson, announces that a special episode will be broadcast to celebrate Doctor Who's 50th anniversary on November 23rd, 2013. That would be the Doctor Who After Party. That's what that was.
But in all seriousness, Day of the Doctor is, in my opinion, one of the finest hours of Doctor Who. It is phenomenal.
It is.
And just part of that's the experience of seeing it in the theater. And it was amazing, frankly. It's almost 10 years later. It still blows me away how good it was.
It's terrifying. Yeah. It had so many opportunities to fail. Like, it's just like, oh boy, what so much riding on it. Thinking, like, I can't think of a more pleasant Doctor Who experience than that.
I don't do much for merch.
Right.
For anything, but still have a Day of the Doctor poster in the living room, and that's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah.
I may wimp out on this, but it takes a lot. In fact, I don't have any tattoos. I am seriously thinking about a quote from this episode for a tattoo. Whether I go through with it, we'll see. But
right. Wow, tattoo worn. Jeez.
Yeah, thinking about it.
What would you get? What phrase?
Oh, I think the audience has to guess. Possibly as a fluid link.
Possibly as a fluid link. Wow. Send them in, folks. Send them in. # fluid links. What is Warren going to get as a tattoo that's tied in?
Maybe. I might wuss out. It's entirely possible I'll wuss out.
Yeah.
Just loading up a copy of the script here.
It's not that important, Chris.
I don't know if you need to
I just want to find something terrible that I can suggest.
But Warren, tattoos are permanent. I do want to point out.
I'm aware of this, yes.
Okay. Since we have like 3 minutes left in this musical loop, we should start to wrap it up. Why are the time lashes getting longer and longer? I don't understand. We should just do a whole spin-off podcast. November 19th, 1924, William Russell is born. Happy birthday, William Russell.
98 years old.
98.
Absolute
98.
And still in Doctor Who.
Oh, Doctor Who. Astounding. That's just astounding, honestly. Just astounding. And a whole bunch of other stuff. I don't know how you can top William Russell's birthday on November
you can't really.
19th. So So with that, we'll wrap up the Timelash. Chris can peruse the script for the Day of the Doctor for random throwaway lines.
I'm sorry I created this monster.
On its own accord. I'll tell you about some Doctor Who audio while you're doing that, Chris. There's some new not just Big Finish stuff. There's some original audio CDs coming out in next year, starting with Doctor Who: The Ice Kings, a 12th Doctor audio original written by Neil Bushnell, as read by Maureen O'Brien, back in the Doctor Who fold, it seems, reading these things. What's notable about this also, and other things that we'll talk about, is the new Doctor Who logo branding on the cover of these things, with a version of the diamond logo without the diamond on it. So that's kind of exciting. I like seeing that logo back in print. Just like this is an interesting one. January 5th, 2023 also sees the release of Doctor Who: The Romans, the first Doctor novelization. Now, as a kid, I didn't like this book at all because it wasn't your standard blow-by-blow story type of novelization. Yeah. It was like a series of like diary entries and letters and correspondence.
Epistemological, I believe it's called.
Cotton did something similar for Mythmakers as well.
Mm-hmm. He did, didn't he? Yeah. Which, I would probably appreciate a lot more now than I did then. Which
is the funny one? Was that the Romans?
Yeah. Well, I mean, both are.
So I remember being amused, but also confused.
Both are comedic, but the Mythmakers doesn't exist. So unless you read the book or listened to,
the book was funny, as I recall.
Yeah.
Yeah. What this sets up though is that there's an interesting way to present this one, because since it's a bunch of like diary entries and correspondences, there's several different people on the cast. It's read by Tim Treloar, who of course is the third Doctor for Big Finish audio. Jamie Glover is in there. He of course does Ian Chesterton for the David Bradley versions of the Big Finish. Dan Starkey, Claire Corbett, John Colshaw, Maureen O'Brien, and Louise Jameson all are doing readings as part of this novelization. What an original and inventive idea. So that is commendable. Both of those are coming out January 5th.
I think you skipped over this Me and Him and Who.
I probably did, Chris. Tell us about it then, since I have now.
It's something I never heard of until literally today. It's a piece written by Stephen Wyatt, Seventh Doctor era writer Stephen Wyatt, about JNT, borrowing from Richard Marson's work, just about the life of JNT.
Interesting. I am learning about this for the first time as well. I know you put it in the news list just before we started recording, but how intriguing! So is this a nonfiction thing? Is it a fiction thing? Is it a?
I get the impression it's nonfiction,
right?
But yeah,
I don't know. It's performed by Christopher Guard, who was in Doctor Who, I think he was Bellboy. And Dominic Guard, his brother, was in Terminus, and Peter Noble. They basically play John Nathan Turner and Gary Downey, essentially. And so this is intriguing. I'm intrigued by this. I am really intrigued by this. So, yeah, Me and Him and Who. It's out from AUK Direct, or AUK Direct, if you want to pronounce it that way, in next month. And it will not be, they'll CD release in early December and then digitally in 2023. So links in the show notes to find out more information, as we just did ourselves right now while reading about it. So interesting. Warren, this might be the closest you get to like a dramatization of John Nathan Turner and Gary Downey's trip through the streetcars of Singapore. So an
adventure in Singapore in time. Yeah, sounds great.
Relish it. Also coming from the Doctor Who audio collection, less information is known about some of these than others, so bear with us. But the Renegades collection is coming. First, fourth, and sixth Doctor novelizations in audio form, that being for the Time Meddler, the Deadly Assassin, Shada, and The Mark of the Rani, with Peter Purvis, Jeffrey Beavers, Lalla Ward, John Leeson, and Nicola Bryant are your readers for those. Also, Seeds of Death, under second Doctor novelization audio CD, is coming February 2nd, 2023. That's Groundhog Day. David Troughton reads that. He does the second Doctor now in Big Finish. And also, we know so little about this, but we're going to pass on information. Doctor Who 4 from Doomsday, Doom apostrophe S Day, a quartet of stories with a linked theme, Doom, written by Darren Jones. That's all we know. We have no other information about that other than it's going to be released on June 1st, 2023.
Still 7.5 months out, so
lots of time. Lots of time. Yeah, there could be 2 to 3 different owners of Twitter in between then and now before that comes out. So, and lastly, before we get to the commentary for Earthshock, some Big Finish stuff. The Torchwood, the Empire Man, coming from Big Finish, which is a ghost story. Ooh, spooky ghost story for Christmas. That's coming out in December of this year, which is next month. Available now is Doctor Who, the Seventh Doctor Adventures Sullivan and Cross AWOL, which is a crazy thing. It makes me remind me of the what's that awful Antonio Banderas movie, X versus Sever.
X versus Sever? Something? Yeah.
Yeah, it just feels very strange to me. But
Ballistic : X versus Sever. Or Batman v Superman : Dawn of Justice.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Complicated title, but it features Harold Sullivan, so I'm always okay with that. And of course, Sylvester McCoy. And Emma Jones Campbell returns as Cass. I don't know how they're going to cram this in because Cass was introduced in Night of the Doctor and then immediately died. But her and Paul McGann's Doctor are in a new Doctor Who Eighth Doctor adventure. With 2 episodes written by James Moran, who's written a Doctor Who audio again. So this is, I'm not sure he's ever written a Big Finish before this. I know he wrote, obviously, Fires of Pompeii for TV, but now he's writing for Doctor Who audio. So good for him.
Big Finish is very good at milking it, frankly. But no, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that as a complaint. I'm saying that's what they're good at. They're good at taking these things and expanding out the stories. So you can look at that as milking it. I know it's the sort of thing you curse Star Wars for doing, but it's what Big Finish excels at. So
that's right.
And with mostly good results. So
absolutely.
James Moran wrote Torchwood Serenity, released in July 2019.
Ah, okay. So
Big Finish.
Big Finish, but first return to Doctor Who proper then in. Cool. Good for James. Good guy. I like him. And lastly, before the commentary, hey kids looking to fill out your Christmas list, well, Doctor Who Race to the TARDIS Expanded Universe board game could be yours. It's a board game. It's a Doctor Who board game. I don't know the rules of this, but it features all the Doctors Who, including Joe Martin and John Hurt's Doctor and all of them. So that's kind of cool. I don't know the rules of this. You know what? I kind of regret giving it away, but I used to have the Doctor Battle of the Universe board game from the late 80s, early 90s that had the the McCoy logo on it and stuff like that. And I got rid of it several years ago. And I see occasional Doctor Who board games in stores and stuff, but and this is another one. Which I probably won't get.
I want to see I don't want to see it because it's a fan backlash, but I do kind of want to see the fan backlash. Why wasn't Sacha Dhawan included as the Doctor? Because he was for 10 minutes. Come on.
Where are all the Morbius Doctors, damn it? They should be here. They're not. Anyway, links in the show notes if you want to the UK shop. I don't know if this is going to make its way to North American shores. They often do when it comes to these board games, but if you want to get it, it's there. All right, that's it for the news, everyone. The long news list that was this episode of Ready for Skaro. But now it's time to watch some Doctor Who with us, won't you, for our classic series commentary of Earthshock Part 2.
Are the microphones wired in?
All run the condenser, most merciful. We're looking forward to excellent duodecaphonic sound.
This is the moment when I get a real feeling of job satisfaction.
Welcome back to the Doctor Who Classic Series commentary for Earthshock Part 2, the thrilling conclusion to Episode 1, where we saw the Cybermen at the end, just in case you had never seen this episode before. We trust you have got your legally purchased Blu-rays and DVDs paused, waiting for this moment to see the Cybermen proper return to Doctor Who. Good, here we go. Earthshock Part 2. In 3, 2, 1, play. Just imagine what the schoolyards were like.
a riot.
The
was in
day,
progress.
the day after, and I wonder if, like, you know, how many kids, like, let's say you were like 10, and you just saw episode 1, but had never seen, like, you know, well, why would you have seen a Cyberman? How would you know who they were? Or maybe there's a bunch of those nerd kids, i.e. us, who would say, "Oh, well, actually, based on my comic books."
That's my question, which is like, are we confirmation biasing this, and all the kids were excited, or just the nerd kids were excited?
Maybe they just sort of knew of the legends of the Cybermen almost more than anything, you know, because they had books, they had comics. I guess they might have seen pictures. Like, think of, like, Revenge of the Cybermen is the only cyber story that existed at that point.
And there were no Pertwee ones, so...
Nope. In fact, because of the popularity of this, the next year when they did a poll, they polled somewhere, I don't remember what it was, Radio Times or somewhere, this says, which episode, which story would you like to see come out for the first ever Doctor Who video release? And they all chose, like, Tomb of the Cybermen, but it says, okay, so that one, for reasons unknown, is unavailable, so we're just going to use the only other Cybermen story that exists, and that was Revenge of the Cybermen. Based on this.
Look at it this way, though. Like, okay, because we were the same age these kids we're talking about are at the same time. Like, you're 11 years old, and if I'm a kid in England, maybe I've seen Revenge of the Cybermen, maybe I haven't. I sure as hell couldn't watch it again. So, and I was too young to have seen the stuff in the 60s, right? Which also I couldn't watch again. So this would probably be more of a, oh my God, who are these new monsters thing for most kids, I would think.
I wonder.
And then some nerd dork whose dad watched it or whatever would tell him, or older brother probably would say, well, they're actually there, blah, 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 blah. And I think you'll find they're in the 10th planet, et cetera, yada, yada, yada.
Well, I mean, we're in the beginning of the John Nathan Turner era, and, I'm just trying to think here, like, returning monsters. Like, everyone sort of knows who the Daleks were. Everyone, when the Sontarans appeared at the end of Invasion of Time, there wasn't really an explanation of who they were. Mm-hmm. It's the Doctor sort of, like, we see the Master very gradually, and then we see him turn around. And I remember when I saw Keeper of Chalk, and I don't know who this guy is, because I'd never seen the Master before. But only when the Doctor sort of confirms it later on in episode 4, of course, the Master, which I didn't even fully comprehend then. But no one has said, oh, it's the Cybermen. Like, so we're still wondering who they are if you haven't never seen the Cybermen before. Like,
we're also looking at this through the lens of 2022, where continuity and explanation is of paramount importance. Nobody probably cared back then. They're just like, well, it's on TV, watch it or don't, whatever.
Yeah, we'd see
Country Files on next, or whatever the next thing is.
Yeah, if it was like Star Trek, modern series Star Trek, we'd see a previously on. It's like, oh, weird, they're showing clips from Revenge of the Cybermen for some reason previously on. I wonder what that could mean.
But I mean, it just wasn't as much slavishness to this, continuity nonsense that and there are good reasons to do it now, but people just didn't care. There wasn't. What was the purpose? What are you gonna do? Watch it on your box set VHS? I mean, maybe if you're rich,
people were starting to care. Well, the one person who had his own personal video library was Ian Levine, because he was getting copies from the BBC.
You just completely illustrated what I'm talking about.
Exactly. Yeah, and basically, it's one. I'm curious where that adherence to continuity began. I'm going to blame Star Trek fans, because they were sort of the first real proper organized fandom of a TV show, and the conventions were a thing by now, and they were saying, well, actually, I have watched off-air copies of bootlegs of this and read the novelization, so obviously this isn't true, and so
Try reading the James Blish novelization, or not novelizations, but like the after Trek stories. They don't make a lick of sense. They're very out of character, a lot of them. They're fun at the time, but also I bet you the continuity nonsense started the minute pulp magazines came out, and those things were just as much toss out this junk and see what sticks. But I'm sure there were nerds out there writing, well, besides the war effort and the encroaching Nazism, I'd like to point out this error you made in regarding atomic weaponry on Venus. Yeah.
Pew, 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 pew,
Take
pew.
that.
Fire with those lasers. What do we do? Hey, Cyberman again.
What's great about this, and it's just good writing, is it's like Aliens. It's like there's one problem after another they have to solve, and all of them are believable and realistic and put them in jeopardy.
Yeah.
So like they got rid of these guys, and now they got basically a nuke to deal with.
I remember seeing was basically a story breakdown of like a Wallace and Gromit short about how it was perfect storytelling, like 5 minutes, because it was basically a perfect encapsulation of like stories should be not this happened, then this happened, then this happened. It should be this happened, but this happened, but this happened. You know, that it should be responding to what happened before it. Yeah. And that's exactly what happens in Earthshock.
I mean, I don't know what I'm praising story for following proper dramatic writing, but God,
Big Finish. What is wrong with you? Honestly, what is wrong with you? Why don't you use those Cybermen? Why don't you use them? They've been in like Big Finish once, 40 years.
It's just a setting. It's just a filter. Come on, guys.
Yeah, that's all it is. Get David Banks in, put him in the helmet again. I don't care. Actually, I do care. Put him in the helmet.
I can just see him in this recording booth. Do I really have to wear this thing? Yes,
you do.
Keep it on.
Put the helmet on. Put it on, Banks.
Banks. Don't cross me. Nicholas Briggs, I've killed several people.
Like, look at that shot. That's a great shot. Low angle shot of a Cyberman. Like, look at how quickly these scenes are going.
What confused me was like these guys. I knew they weren't robots, but they're way more emotional than usual in this.
And they work because of it, let's face it.
Oh, yeah, I'm not complaining. But at the time, as a pedantic 12-year-old nerd, I was like, well, what the hell's going on here, right? They seem remarkably slim and athletic because just a few years hence, we'll have that very chubby cyber leader.
Yeah. Good old Michael Kilgariff. Good old Pete Davison. Action hero Peter Davison.
Yeah.
Oh!
It fired up a filter.
They are too late.
He's such a jerk. I love him.
How many times have I quoted David Banks in the Earthshock? There's like camera 2 going through, like this is all shot like there. That's like this is all multicam. Love it. That wasn't a cutaway. If we
don't act now, this thing is going to play Chaka Khan. I feel for you.
Oh, it's got to be around the same time, isn't it?
I think so. I was struggling mightily. Thinking of, here you go, Edmontonites, 4 O'Clock Rock and what they would used to play.
Oh boy, Chuck Chandler, man.
That is a deep cut to Edmonton.
That is.
And the best thing about it is they had, as the theme song, they had, and I think the video itself, of Rocket by Herbie Hancock.
They sure did. That's where I knew that song.
Insane video and a great song.
Like how he points with his thumb. I always like that. Oh yeah, we're in the era of like, oh, by the way, everyone come into the TARDIS and go, this is dumb. That's mostly what he said. That wasn't like, I don't understand. That was like, this is dumb.
He said the whole police force on the last story.
That's right.
At least there's a reason for this other than showing off the TARDIS for no good reason.
Yeah. There's some pace to this scene. Proper pace.
Initiate the Van Halen prerogative.
Zooms. Look at that. What's happening?
More power. Those guys must have been boiling alive in those things, though.
Oh, I know, but their sacrifice is well noted. More power. I idolize David Banks and the Cyberman, because like him, I was tall, but his height, his exact height.
He slagged me off on the stage at Gallifrey, so I'll never forgive him.
That's true.
For being a shortman.
Yeah, he was fine with you and I, Stephen.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, great, wonderful. La-di-da, why don't you marry him while you're at it?
Well,
you can have a big, tall wedding.
Like the song says, Warren, 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Oh, gross.
You can have a tall throuple. I give you my blessing as a short person.
I thought we agreed, a gentleman's agreement, that we would not mention Meatloaf on this podcast.
I would never make such an agreement.
Oh, that's too bad.
Well, you should, due to his lack of COVID belief.
Lack of anything right now. But I think this this toolkit featured prominently in like the Doctor Who toolkit
Technical
making.
manual.
Yeah, it was technical manual. That was it. Yeah.
I had the technical manual, and it did indeed. They broke down all these things, and being a dork, I was like, oh, I wonder what that actually does.
well, let's
Nothing.
see.
It's all fake.
Yeah, this thing was a rocket thruster off of a Jerry Anderson spaceship. This here was a hairdryer.
Yeah, but as a 12-year-old, I was like, no, it all has a purpose.
Yep, exactly.
Then you realize how TV is made, barely. And you're like, oh, no, it was all ramshackle nonsense.
Yeah. Davidson just has a energy to him. Anyway, no, go ahead, Warren.
I was going to say, I really want to use, and I haven't, abandoned methodical procedure for blind instinct. I really should work that in a everyday conversation.
And like Grimwade annoyed the cast because instead of telling people what to do, i.e. directing them, he would basically show them. Here's what I want you to do. Get out of the way. Let me show you. Now do that. That's pretty much he did. Everyone hated him for it. But we got 4 tightly packed episodes of well-directed Doctor Who. So, whereas everyone loved working on Time Flight, and it's crap.
Yeah, that's usually how these things work. We all had such a great time. We're just a big family. Oh, you mean it's garbage. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I literally could just every single cyber line is a ringtone for me. If I used ringtones, been podcasting for. I don't remember the last time I turned the ringer on my phone.
No, I haven't in years.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a watch that buzzes at me that I ignore. So why would I turn on a ringer?
Yeah.
But even still, the cloister bell is my text dinging sound. And whenever I hear it somewhere other than my text, I'm like, oh, I got a text. Why?
Now get out of our magical time ship. Forget what you've seen here.
But we're in deep space. Get out.
Yeah. Out. You're going to find yourself floating home. What is deep space? Really? It's only relative.
Anywhere past the solar system, basically.
Yeah. Well, sure. That's a bit parochial, isn't it? I mean...
that's how they define it. Gotta start somewhere. And we are the center of the universe, as you know. Toronto specifically.
Yeah. I want to say that. Oh,
look at
so
that.
This whole clip featured on a BBC show called Did You See? But most importantly, that clip from Did You See featured on the making of Doctor Who, aka the making of Silver Nemesis, which I saw first back in 1988. I had yet to see Earthshock at that point. And so this scene right here was my introduction to Cybermen, my introduction to past Doctors. I watched this clip a million times.
Oh yeah, I did quite a few times too.
For
Glorious EP.
Yeah, and I didn't even know what story it was from. I didn't quite know that it was from Earthshock. Maybe they actually did say it was from Earthshock, so I knew what to expect. But yeah, so now that I think about it, like Christmas '86, I missed it. By September of '88, I had yet no, but maybe no, it was '89. God, 3 years passed between airings of Earthshock. Man.
I mean, this is pandering a bit, obviously, but it's also kind of necessary at this time.
It's history
for all the stuff we just talked about.
Yeah, it's like, history. Yeah, for people
they
who
do it
never
now, it's like, okay, I love where the first and 12th Doctor are together, and they show all those little globes, and they have all those little clips and pieces. But that is just flat out pandering, honestly. Even though I love it, it is that.
It's also setting the scene for those people who have not bought the DVD of the 10th Planet animated version. Yeah.
And it does let the first Doctor go, what the hell is going to happen to me? What is this craziness? So I'll give it that. But this is more necessary than that was, what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Especially in the pre-video age, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's quaint that he still uses a notepad to...
I was going to say he's a real hipster. He's not using a calculator or anything else they have on hand.
You sure did, you stroppy teenager.
This is me talking about Edmonton.
Screw you.
Yeah, fair enough.
Well, let's hope you don't die in a meteor explosion.
Well, yeah, okay, I just made myself Adric in the situation. So
yeah,
who's winning
exactly.
here, really?
Exactly. You and your damn gold star.
Excuse me, the TARDIS is not capitalized in the captions. We should end this immediately.
I've used that line specifically. Contingency flash
Those are
could
cool
go
models.
ahead. Yeah,
Those are cool looking models.
that's a good shot. I mean, it's probably a static
What
shot.
is going on here? Smoking. Eh?
Oh my God, they are smoking. Or is it just tea? No, they're probably smoking. It's a Sayward script. They got to be smoking.
That's true. It looked like she was putting out a cigarette. Or he was. One of the two.
Maybe it was. I forget who this actor is, but that's June Bland in the background. She appears later in Battlefield as the blind wife of
the publican.
Yeah.
She does have, and this is another Sayward thing, people sick and tired of being on duty wherever the hell they are.
Right? Yeah, I know.
Like, Resurrection of Daleks is nothing but low morale. It's just, like, it's almost as if he was reflecting his own career.
Man, yeah. There is, say what you will about Sayward, but whatever he writes, he is cynical as all get out.
Oh, yeah. Which is it's hot and cold.
Yeah. I think it works here because it's, just a mundane freighter, They're probably carrying like danger bulk flour or something like that. Or
After the transmat screwed up, you had to carry flour.
Right? Yeah. After a TMAT went belly up, they had to get back into physical shipments again. Honestly, they could just. How many times did they say excellent in the history? I mean, they say it
Not
least
enough.
8 times, but
Not enough.
You'll just have to sit down and count it.
I will. Somebody probably.
I know
has.
you would.
I would totally do it.
Chris
Or
probably have.
Literally, all I could do is just go to the script page and just Command F and find it.
By the way, only
You need to find all
dad's-
the examples where David Banks says it. So there's 5 doctors, etc.
That's true.
Just because my dad's an electronics expert, I know he's got a voltage meter on his belt there.
Oh, really?
It looks like a voltage meter. You get him at Radio Shack for like
Right.
$10 at the time,
Right next to
but
the.
they taped over the voltage bit of it.
Oh, right
And
next
a
to the
calculator
onion.
watch.
Right next to the onion. On his belt, as was stylish at the time. Let's see here. I've done a Command F of Earthshock. It appears apparently 14 times. 2, 3, 4. Oh my God, 5. This is all by the leader. 6, 7. Oh, Doctor said it. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Now, she was well known, right? Like she was kind of a big deal.
Beryl Reed?
Yeah,
She
not
was-
to us, but
What was she known for? Because I get her in
Being-
I get
being
her in the Carry
miscast
On
here.
Crew. You know what though? I mean, nerds like us, this is the one and only thing I've ever seen Beryl Reed in. Like
same here. Yeah,
I don't know her history. She's just a space captain. I don't care.
well, she won an OBE.
She won it. Like it's a
Yeah, I was awarded it, I suppose.
casino prize. Yeah.
It's like Ken Dodd or Nicholas Parsons or Hale and Pace.
Oh, she's
or,
in Smiley's People. There you go.
Is she really in Smiley's People with
So
good
says
old
Wikipedia.
Alec Guinness, aka Ewan McGregor? Oh.
The Bells of St. Trinians.
Well, that's
Oh, and she's also in No Sex Please We're British.
Oh, of course, everyone's in
1973.
that. Yeah. And she did not have a clue what was going on here.
No. Who can blame her?
By the way, Patreon supporters will be getting a bonus commentary where I will watch all 7 hours of the original studio footage of this. And
I don't think you're lying.
I think instead you need to produce a YouTube reaction video.
that's true. Get around the
I think
copyright
instead of
laws
that,
that way.
you need
Yeah.
to sit down and think about what you've done before
Never.
you do it.
No. It's great. So
Oh. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the studio footage on this set for this story is great. It's fabulous. It's a great insight into how they made it. But anyway, Warren, you're going to say.
I just had a 40-year realization. She's the cranky grandma in The Secret Diary of Adrian Mole, which I watched religiously when it came on TV.
Is she actually?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
She's in it. That's what her filmography says.
I never watched that. What's his name? Gian Samarco, who of course was in Greatest Show in the Galaxy, as you say. Yeah.
I love the books. So, I read the first 2 books, and then apparently they kept going on until Sue Townsend died a few years ago.
Oh.
So up until his middle age.
What a great shot from below. They look giant there. They look just massive. What a great design. Imagineering. Richard Gregory, who died in the past couple of years, I think.
Is the Marilon coming up at the end of this or at the end of the next one? I don't remember.
Not Marilon. The triple, the mirror shot. The triple. Yeah, that's.
Well, I like to call it Marilon, even though it isn't.
That's the end of episode 3.
This guy is that weasel in every office that just tells on you about nothing to the boss.
Yeah, there's always one of these people. He reminds me of Kellner in Revenge of the Cybermen, for instance. There's always one traitor on board.
Yeah, because every office is probably, especially in England, given the class structures, there's always one of these weaselly dudes who always wants to get ahead and will do anything to do it and never really does.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't born Regington Smythe III or whatever.
Regington. Of the Bedfordshire Regington Smythe.
Oh, of course, yes. Are they a good family? How the hell should I know? I always laugh at this sort of thing because I'm Canadian. We're a bunch of dirt farming scumbags and we know it.
Damn right. And we're proud of it. None of you Easterners coming here taking our jobs. His hairdo is very 1982. He is from 1982, that guy. That
is, if Battlestar Galactica continued into the 80s, and I'm not counting Battlestar Galactica 1980, Chris, so don't even say it.
Right.
That's the kind of hair Apollo would have.
If you didn't already. Hell, Robert Plant almost had hair like that in 1982 after he left Led Zeppelin, and it was just
what Lodestar, Robert Plant.
What's going on? Yeah. Oh, bit of a camera. That's a good model shot. That's a model shot right there. I mean, the sets look big.
Mm-hmm. They really do.
Yeah. I mean, they're probably just walking through the same bits over and over again, but they do a great job.
I don't know why, but I always worried as a kid when you see a bridge that I just assumed all the chairs were on wheels and that they would roll around if they were got attacked. It would be a real problem. I don't know why I thought that, but I did.
Imagine the Star Trek bridge acting under attack if that was the case.
That's why those things are bolted to the ground, baby. Really, why don't they just have arm straps on their chairs? Because they know what's coming.
Some of them do. Some of them have seatbelts, don't they? They do in Frontier in Space. They have seatbelts, so somebody's thought ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And there we go. It feels like
so most ships we laud murderers. We don't.
Yeah. It feels like the one cliffhanger that we have to wait a week for, or 6 days, is the weakest one. Because the cliffhangers for episodes 1 and 3, and indeed episode 4, are pretty notable.
Mm-hmm.
Good old.
And it's kind of crazy that the Doctor doesn't even meet the Cybermen until episode 3.
Is it episode 3 or is it episode 4? I don't think they meet each other until 4.
He sees them in episode 3, I think. Well, we're going to find out.
Yeah, I know. He still has no idea. He still has no idea who's behind it all. That's fabulous. Well done.
Halfway through. Yeah.
Yeah. Good old Dinah Collin. Good for her. Good work in the costume designs. Anthony Root. Good script editing there. That's good stuff.
Anthony Root would be a great name for a worldwide assassin.
Anthony Root.
Celebrated assassin Anthony Root.
The root cause of all your problems. Well, that's exciting, folks. We're having some fun watching 1980s Doctor Who, the best Doctor Who. So join us next time on this podcast for part 3 of our classic series commentary of Earthshock. So until next time, I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
So long for now.
You've been listening to Radio Free Skaro. Find us online at radiofreescaro.com, follow us on Twitter and Tumblr at Radio Free Skaro, subscribe to us on iTunes, and donate to the show at patreon.com/Radio Free Skaro. Thank you.